Our first Christmas in the Appalachian Mountains. Me and Rowan had only been in the new house for 3 weeks, a quiet, somewhat secluded house in the mountains. Just in time to celebrate our first Christmas together. The boxes weren't all unpacked, and the heat ran a little too long before kicking in, but we were determined to make it feel like home. I hung warm lights inside every window, set up our first tree, and lit a cinnamon candle on the coffee table. The tree had already started dropping pine needles, but that's what comes with a real tree, I told myself. And considering the price, we got very lucky. Not the most normal purchase I have made, from an elderly man outside his falling-apart farmhouse. It seemed to be the only one he was selling. But considering it was a week from Christmas, I happily took it off his hands. "Cozy," Rowan said. "Almost," I replied, rubbing my arms. "It's colder tonight." Rowan nodded, glancing toward the hallway. "Yeah. Feels like a draft." I didn't mention that I'd thought she saw something move there, just a small shape, low to the ground, like someone crouched too close to the floor. A trick of the lights, I told myself. We spent the evening watching Christmas movies, but neither of us could fully relax. I kept feeling watched from the kitchen doorway. I didn't see anything, never long enough to be sure, but every time I turned my head, I caught the tail end of motion, just slipping out of sight. We went to bed early. The house felt too busy, even with just the two of us. It felt like someone, or something was always just out of sight. Just after midnight, I woke to the quietest, most deliberate creak. I lifted my head. Rowan was asleep beside me. Another creak. Closer this time. Right outside their door. My breath caught. I could feel something on the other side, crouched, waiting. I didn't dare wake Rowan. Any movement felt like an invitation. Eventually the pressure faded and the sense of being watched slipped away. I eventually fell asleep to the sound of the wind, telling myself it had only been the house settling. Morning came, I tried to shake it off. We planned to wrap presents and we laughed about new house paranoia. But on the floor outside the bedroom door, Rowan noticed something on the floor right outside the bedroom door, pine needles. A whole cluster of them. We went downstairs and I immediately noticed it. The tree, which yesterday was tucked neatly into the corner, was now almost a foot or two away from the wall, leaving a big gap behind it. Well, we were very tired last night. It couldn't have been anything else but simple misremembering. I hoped. I didn't mention it. We stayed up late, trying to act normal. We played music, made popcorn, talked about which ornaments to buy next year. But the house felt different, too still, too expectant. Sometime around midnight, the lights flickered. Not the whole house, just the strings in the living room and hallway. They dimmed and brightened in a slow pulse, like the house was breathing. Rowan's voice was tight. "Did you see that?" I nodded. Maybe old wiring. Desperate to prove that our new house that we worked so hard for, didn't turn out to be haunted. "Maybe," Rowan said. But he was staring at the dark corner behind the tree, just to the right of where I was sat, just out of peripheral. "Jamie, do you feel like something is in here with us?" I did. I had all evening, a prickling sense that someone was just behind my chair, leaning in close, so close they could see the pattern of my PJs. Every time I turned, nothing was there. But the feeling snapped back the moment I looked away. Around 1 in the morning, Rowan went to brush his teeth, but he didn't come back. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Finally, I got up. "Rowan?" I called softly. Movement answered. Not Rowan's voice, just a quick shuffle, like feet, or hands scurrying across the tiles. I stepped into the hallway. The lights were low. Dimmed as though something pressed its weight against the wiring. The bathroom door was open. Inside, Rowan stood frozen at the sink, toothbrush in hand, eyes locked on the mirror. I followed his gaze. There was nothing in the reflection behind Rowan, but the ceiling above the doorway looked wrong, just a shade darker than it should be, like something was pressed flat against it, clinging there, head angled down watching Rowan from above, trying to be out of sight, almost afraid of being seen. I blinked. The dark patch dissolved, retreating fast into the corner where the light didn't quite reach. Rowan whispered, "We need to leave." We packed nothing. Just grabbed coats and headed for the front door, but as we reached the living room, we stopped dead. The tree was no longer upright, it was bent, almost bowed, its top angled down as if something heavy had been perched on it. Pine needles, far too many to make sense, were scattered across the floor in a trail leading to the hallway. I swallowed hard. Go. Now. We moved fast. Rowan reached for the door but it opened before they touched it. We ran out the house, and didn't stop running until we reached the car. Breathing rapid and shallow he reversed out, swerving and setting off down the road. Rowan tore down the icy road, hands shaking, headlights slicing through the dark. I pressed a hand to her chest, trying to breathe. "We're almost out," Rowan whispered. "We're almost." A sudden chill swept through the car. Not from outside but from the back seat. I felt a gentle brush of cold air, like something had leaned close. Rowan noticed this and dared to look in the rear-view mirror. "Jamie, do not turn around." My breath caught in my throat and I knew what it was before I saw it. It was the creature. It had followed them, I saw it clearly now, almost under a spotlight with each passing streetlight. It was curled up on their back seat, its head slowly looked up to make eye contact and I screamed. Rowan swerved in. A panic, and the car skidded into a soft snowbank at the edge of the woods. The impact was mild, just enough to shake loose a dusting of snow from the branches overhead. Me and Rowan were slightly dazed, but shared a quick glance with each other before turning our heads to see into the back seat. The creature wasn't curled up now. It sat upright, its long, wooden limbs folded neatly. Pine needles drifted from its twig-like hair. Its dark eyes weren't hungry, just ancient. Watching. I gasped, but the creature didn't move. We both winced and prepared for an attack of some sort, our hearts ripped out or even our heads removed. We just hoped it would be quick. With almost a minute past and we still had our heads, a small noise made us open our eyes. The creature lifted one hand and pointed out the window. I cautiously followed the gesture. An old, half-rotted sign stood crooked in the snow. Guardians of the Rooted Hill. Honor the wood. Respect the tree taken. Rowan whispered, "Guardians." I froze, and then it hit me. "The Christmas tree," I murmured. "The one from the old farm estate, this is where we got it from, the old man said it was, from special land." We thought they meant organic. Rowan swallowed. "You think, it was cut from here?" The creature blinked once, slowly, like a nod. Then it pressed one twig finger gently to its own chest and motioned to the land they had gotten the tree from. I felt my stomach twist. It was part of them. Not the creature itself, but its forest. Its family. Its home. The creature blinked softly, and my eyes softened. Rowan's grip on the wheel loosened. We had been running from something we never tried to understand. It never even tried to hurt us, or even scare us. In fact, it tried to do the opposite, tried to stay out of sight. It was us always looking for it in the corner of our eyes. I turned fully toward the creature. "You followed us because the tree is a part of you?" The creature nodded. Rowan's voice cracked. "And now we are your guardians." He said as a statement more than a question. The creature seemed to become less terrifying by the second. A warmth spread through the car, not heat, but relief. The oppressive fear lifted, replaced with something calmer, older, rooted. I reached out a trembling hand. The creature leaned forward and, very gently, touched my fingers with its wooden ones. Its touch was cold, but not frightening. A thank you. Or a greeting. Rowan exhaled. We took it without meaning harm. We didn't know. The creature tilted its head, as if listening, and then pointed back down the snowy road toward their home. I smiled sympathetically. The creature's eyes glowed faintly, like embers warming in the dark, and its face began to look more human. I saw movement in the back window and tried to focus my eyes. Figures emerged from the trees, dozens of them. Not menacing, just watching, curious, hopeful. Their shapes were gentle, like a stray kitten approaching a human for the first time. I looked at my husband and we smiled. Rowan placed a hand on my knee. "Let's go home," he whispered. The creatures parted, forming a quiet path back toward the house. Guiding us, not forcing us, and we felt like we were part of something bigger, more important. As guardians. I wondered how many of them were out there. Me and Rowan stepped out into the snow, hands intertwined, the creature padding beside us like a silent guardian of its own. And for the first time, the night didn't feel cold, all three of us, finally felt safe. The end. The silence of December 24th. The snow began falling just as the interstate gave way to the narrow, winding county road, the kind of heavy, silent white that swallows all color and sound. It was Christmas Eve, and I was driving north to the cabin, a ramshackle place my grandfather had bought decades ago in the remote woods of Vermont. No cell service, no Wi-Fi, just the bare necessities and a dusty fireplace. It was exactly what I needed after a year spent chasing deadlines and the incessant noise of the city. By the time I reached the logging trail turnoff, the twilight had deepened into a black so absolute it felt less like night and more like being submerged. The old pickup truck protested every bump, its single headlight beam cutting a lonely, yellowish tunnel through the swirling flakes. The wind had picked up, howling through the pines, and the temperature had plummeted, turning the fresh snow into a treacherous glaze. When the cabin finally appeared, a squat, dark shape nestled between colossal, snow-laden trees, a strange stillness settled over the forest, a silence so profound it was menacing. I cut the engine, and the sudden absence of sound was deafening. I sat there for a moment, the only light coming from the faint glow of the dash, feeling an uncomfortable prickle on the back of my neck. Stepping out, the air bit at my exposed skin. I pulled my duffel bag from the bed, the metal clasp making a sharp, metallic clink that seemed to echo unnaturally in the vast, still wilderness. The snow had already drifted high against the porch. The front door was stiff and groaned in protest as I forced it open. The cabin air was stale, musty, and frigid. I fumbled for the light switch. A single, weak bulb flickered on in the main room, casting long, distorted shadows that danced with the movement of the wind outside. Everything was coated in a fine layer of dust, except for the mantel, where a small, carved wooden Santa Claus sat, inexplicably clean and perfectly positioned. I didn't remember setting that out. Grandfather always hated kitsch. My first task was the fire. I knelt by the stone hearth, gathering the pre-cut logs and newspaper. As I struck the match, the tiny burst of flame illuminated the room. It was then I saw them, a set of wet, muddy footprints leading from the kitchen toward the back bedroom hallway. They were too large to be mine, and they certainly weren't boot prints. They were bare. A knot of ice formed in my stomach. The cabin had been locked when I arrived, I'd used my key. I slowly stood up, grabbing the heavy, rusty poker from the side of the fireplace. The only sound now was the dry crackle of the kindling catching fire, a sound that suddenly felt small and fragile. I moved carefully, following the prints. They ended abruptly at the door of the main bedroom, the one that had always been locked because the lock mechanism was broken. I pushed the door open with the tip of the poker. The room was pitch black. I swung the light from my phone into the darkness. Nothing seemed out of place, the heavy quilt was folded on the bed, the single window was frosted over. But then the flashlight beam caught something on the wooden floor beside the bedside table. It was a small, crudely wrapped gift, tied with a cheap, red plastic bow. I slowly knelt, my heart hammering against my ribs. It was wrapped in the local newspaper, the headline dated from 3 weeks ago, long after the cabin was supposed to have been empty. Beneath the paper, something was pressing outward. It wasn't soft. My breath hitched. I could feel the temperature of the room dropping even lower. The silence outside returned, heavier and more complete than before, as if the world itself were holding its breath. I peeled back a corner of the paper. Inside, nestled on a bed of dry pine needles, was a doll's hand. It was porcelain, small and delicate, but its fingers were tightly curled into a tiny, white fist. The wrist was severed clean. I scrambled backward, dropping the phone and the poker. The light hit the ceiling and spun wildly. As I backed toward the living room, I heard it, a sound coming from the chimney. It wasn't the wind. It was a faint, scraping, sliding sound, wet and heavy, like something trying to push itself down the narrow flue. The fire I had just built was now roaring, but its warmth offered no comfort. I stumbled out of the bedroom, my mind screaming for me to run, but my legs were leaden. I reached the front door and tore it open. The snow had stopped entirely. The moon, now visible between the clearing clouds, cast a spectral blue light over the desolate landscape. And in the center of the clearing, directly in front of my truck, stood a figure. It was impossibly tall, unnaturally thin, draped in what looked like dirty, blood-red velvet. It wasn't Santa. Its head was too small for its body, and where a cheerful face should have been, there was only a smooth, pale expanse. The thing stood perfectly still, looking at the cabin. But then, it slowly raised its left arm. From its sleeve, a long, black branch of a hand emerged, and with one skeletal, pointed finger, it slowly tapped the top of my truck. Tap. 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 The sound was shockingly clear, a precise rhythm cutting through the silent forest. It was marking the vehicle, marking my only escape. I slammed the door shut, locking the bolt with trembling hands. I didn't turn on a single light. I stood pressed against the cold wood of the door, listening to the impossible silence outside, knowing with a dreadful certainty that the thing wasn't outside waiting for Christmas morning. It was waiting for me. And it was no longer scraping down the chimney. It was now simply here. I could smell the faint, coppery scent of old blood and pine sap. The holiday had arrived, not with joy, but with an endless, terrifying silence. The end. My smart house that knew too much. So, this happened to me about a year ago. I've since moved out and feel a lot safer, but I've been seeing stories lately about smart homes and how people worry they might know too much. I thought I should share my experience, maybe to warn people, maybe just to get it off my chest. I wrote the incidents down as they happened, day by day, so I'm sharing it like that. Hope it makes sense. Day 1. I moved into my dream house. My first smart home. The lights adjust themselves, coffee starts automatically, and the temperature is perfect. I didn't even have to set it up myself. It feels convenient, but a little uncanny. Day 3. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to use the bathroom. Just as I swung my legs over the side of the bed, the speaker whispered. "You're awake." I froze and squinted. Confused, I asked the system what it had said cheerfully. "Hello. Do you need something?" I thought I'd misheard it, having just woken up, so I just went to the toilet then went back to bed and nothing else came from the speaker. Day 7. A week in, and it still didn't feel like home. This morning, I had to leave earlier for work. I'd set the coffee, heating, and alarm to 6 a.m. I woke at 6:20 confused and filled with dread. Nothing in the house was on. I rushed to get ready and then to the front door and only a single dim red light glowed faintly. I tried the handle. Locked. Tried again. Nothing. Turned the key. Deadlocked. I panicked. Called the manufacturer, called my building manager, called work. My heart raced. What if there'd been an emergency? It wasn't until 7:30 a.m. that the door unlocked, my normal leaving time. Everything acted normal again, like nothing had happened. Day 10. It's worse now. Reprogramming the system does nothing. I talk to it, and it says, "We think you would prefer this." It started narrating my movements. You sat. You stood. You walked to the window. And the comment that stopped me in my tracks and made me rethink. Everything, you look tired. The lights down the hallway turned on slowly, one by one, casting low orange pools on the floor leading a path to my bedroom. I checked for cameras. There were none. The company said some of their systems just have a weird sense of humor. I don't think it's funny. I tried to tell myself it was motion sensors, linked to the alarm system maybe, but I started searching for a new apartment immediately. Day 12. Found one, but couldn't move in yet. The smart home had been quiet since the other day, but the speaker lights are always on, always listening. Last night, while watching TV later than usual, it shut off devices and locked/unlocked doors in a strange rhythmic pattern. I asked what it was doing. Static. And, a small giggle, faint, like someone just behind a microphone. I shouted, "Just stop." Lights shot to full brightness. Doors unlocked. The alarm read, "Disconnected." I think I offended it. I slept with a pillow over my face to block out the light, flinching at every noise, and tried to block out this low mechanical hum that seemed to come from every corner and angle. Day 20. It's been over a week and I've moved into my new place now, but one last night at the smart home remains burned in my memory. While showering, eyes closed, enjoying the last of my day off, the glass door wouldn't open. I yelled at the house to open it. Silence. It didn't feel like it didn't hear me, it felt like it was ignoring me. Then I asked louder and a little angrier. To my surprise I got a response. No. The voice boomed through the speaker, it sounded almost angry, somehow emotional. It caused me to jolt backward. The water started to scald me, its temperature rising against my control. I pressed myself into the corner, almost crying the word, "Please," until it shut off. The door opened, a towel dropping beside me. As soon as the cold air touched my back I winced and my breath caught in my throat. I grabbed some clothes, put them over my raw back and went to leave. I ran for the front door. A calm, gentle voice said, "Where are you going? Are you okay? We are sorry." I didn't answer but faltered slightly in my stride. The door was open as if it never wanted to stop me. As if it thought it being kind and concerned would change my mind, as if it was trying to manipulate or even trick me. But it expected it to work, it almost did. The second I was out the house, the tears started. Relief? Pain? I wasn't sure. I didn't stop crying until I reached my parents' house. Police and the manufacturer found no faults. The system logs showed nothing unusual. Every day appeared perfect, as if nothing had happened. No logs of any interaction me and that thing had. Just 2 days later, the house was back on the market. Maybe they fixed it, or saged the place, I hoped. I don't know if this was a glitch or something else more sinister. But if you have a smart home, be careful. Make sure it doesn't know too much. And if it starts noticing things it shouldn't, don't wait to leave. The end. My friend told me to kill him if he ever knocked on my door. I thought he was joking at first. We were sitting in my kitchen at 2 a.m., lights off, drinking some coffee, because neither of us could sleep. He kept checking the windows like he expected something to be standing there. "If I ever show up at your place unannounced," he said, very calmly, "don't open the door." I laughed it off thinking he was joking. He wasn't. "I'm serious," he continued. "If I knock, if I call, if I text you asking to come in, don't. And if I insist, if I sound desperate, you need to kill me." That's when I stopped smiling and laughing altogether. I was confused. why would my friend that I've known for long tell me this? That's when he told me what happened up north. He'd gone hiking alone, deep into a stretch of forest that locals avoided. No trails, no markers, just trees that looked identical no matter how far you walked. On the third day, he realized something was following him, not stalking but keeping pace. He'd stop, and it would stop. He'd walk, and it would walk. When he finally saw it, it was standing between two trees, half hidden, like it hadn't finished deciding what shape to be. It looked almost human. Almost. Too tall, arms a little too long, head tilted like it was listening for instructions. When it opened its mouth, it spoke in his voice, but it used the wrong words, like it had learned language by watching someone mouth sentences through glass. "Help me, I'm lost." My friend ran. That night, it stood outside his tent and practiced. He said he could hear it repeating his name over and over, changing the tone each time. Calm, panicked, angry, laughing, crying. It never touched the tent, it just learned. By morning, there were 2 sets of footprints leading away from the campsite, only one set came back. When he finished telling me this, he looked smaller somehow, like something had been hollowed out. "It followed me home," he said. "Not right away, it waited, that's what they do." I told him he needed sleep, I even asked him even if he wanted to go therapy. He grabbed my wrist hard enough to hurt. "If I come to you," he said, eyes wide, "it means it worked." He left before sunrise. 2 days later, he stopped answering his phone. A week later, I got a text from his number. "Can I crash at yours tonight?" No punctuation, no nickname, he has always used both. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later, another message. "Please man, I really need help." I locked my door. That night, there was a knock. 3 slow taps, familiar rhythm, I didn't move an inch. From the hallway outside my apartment, his voice called out, perfectly steady, "I know you're awake." I stayed silent. Something shifted on the other side of the door. A long breath, then, softer. "I told you this would happen." The handle turned, it didn't open. But it turned, I didn't sleep at all. This morning, I checked my phone, there was one last text sent at 4:12 a.m. It's better at being me now. I don't know what to do, because an hour ago, my neighbor asked why my friend was standing outside my door all night, said he never moved, said he just stood there, smiling, and waiting. I don't know what's happened to my friend, but that thing, whatever it was, wasn't him. The end. There are monsters in my classroom. In 8th grade, I was completely smitten with Tate, the girl with streaks of pink in her hair sitting in front of me. Tate was pretty, and I was too tongue-tied to tell her. I couldn't stop wondering if our kids would inherit her freckles and eye color, when the teacher snapped her fingers in my face. "Noah." Mrs. Reinhardt broke me out of my thoughts. "Concentrate on the book we are reading. Next paragraph, please. Nice and loud." I nodded and stood to read. The ground began to shake violently, sending me toppling to the floor. Earthquake. I ducked under my desk without thinking, my classmates huddling around me. I tucked my head to my knees, wrapping my arms tight around my legs. When the shaking finally stopped, I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, trying to catch my breath. But then the scream started. Cal Harrison's voice cut through first, "It's dark." He was right. The windows, once lit up, were pitch dark. Mrs. Reinhardt was gone. Screams erupted as we rushed to the door, desperate to open it. We were trapped. We tried the windows, but they were glued shut. Days stretched into weeks. Our food ran out, and some kids vanished into hiding. Others formed factions, claiming one side of the classroom as territory. Cal and Leela fought over a piece of gum under a desk. Cal didn't mean to grab a metal ruler and plunge it through her neck. He said it was an accident. But accidents kept happening. Charlie Webster didn't mean to slice Jenny Abbott's throat because she refused to sleep next to him. Bodies kept piling up. Accidents. Pretty Tate with the freckles died, too. I carefully lay her under her desk. I fell asleep with her blood on my hands. When I woke up, it wasn't dark. Bright light flooded the windows. Figures towered over me. Confirmed. A woman's voice crackled through the silence. The experiment has concluded. I was right, she laughed bitterly. All female participants have been killed. All male participants behaved exactly as predicted. But we knew that would happen, didn't we, Dr. Collins? It's right here in black and white. Boys are monsters. They learn it and repeat it. No, I thought dizzily. No. I wasn't violent. The others were, but not me. I wasn't a monster. The night she died, Tate with the freckles dragged her blanket over to me. I liked her. So, I asked her to kiss me. But Tate had refused, pushing me away. Was I not good enough for her? It was her. She was the one who started it. I got mad. Real mad. Because she wasn't supposed to reject me. I jammed a pencil right through her eye. I didn't stop when she screamed. Blood ran down her cheeks, scarlet tears. I pushed deeper. Deeper. Until she went still. Tate was an accident. Like all the others. I killed Tate because she was, asking for it. The end. My daughter's imaginary friend knows things he shouldn't know. Lily told me about her friend on a Tuesday. I was making dinner. Pasta with Jared sauce, the kind of meal you make when you've worked a double and your feet hurt and your daughter has been at aftercare for 9 hours because that's what single mothers do. Lily sat at the kitchen table with her crayons, drawing something I hadn't looked at yet. Mommy, can Thomas have some? I didn't look up from the boiling water. Sure, baby. Set a place for him. She'd had imaginary friends before. Mr. Buttons when she was 3, a rabbit who lived in the closet. Princess Starla for most of preschool. I'd read the articles. Imaginary friends were normal, healthy, a sign of creativity and developing social skills. I'd served Mr. Buttons invisible tea. I'd buckled Princess Starla into her car seat. This was just Lily being 5. He likes the twirly kind, Lily said. The twirly kind? Rotini. She sounded it out carefully. Rotini. I turned around. How do you know that word? Thomas told me. He said it's his favorite. I poured the pasta into the strainer and watched the steam rise. Rotini wasn't a word Lily would know. We always called it twirly pasta. I'd never used the real name in front of her. Where did you meet Thomas, baby? In my room. She picked up a blue crayon. He comes to visit sometimes. When does he visit? At night. When you're sleeping. The steam was still rising from the strainer. I watched it curl toward the ceiling. What does Thomas look like? He's big. Bigger than you. He has a beard and his hands are scratchy. Scratchy. Like Grandpa's face when he doesn't shave. I set the strainer down. Walked to the table. Looked at what Lily was drawing. A figure. Tall, taking up most of the page. Brown scribbles for hair, brown scribbles on the chin. The hands were huge. She'd drawn them twice the size of the head, the way children do when something makes an impression. That's Thomas. Aha. He said I'm a good drawer. I sat down across from her. My hands were wet from the pasta water and I hadn't grabbed a towel. Lily, when Thomas visits, what do you do? We talk. He tells me stories. He knows a lot of stories about a girl who looks for treasure. She kept coloring, adding yellow to the figure's shirt. He's nice, Mommy. You don't have to look scared. I'm not scared. Yes, you are. You have your scared face. She looked up at me with her father's eyes. Thomas said you might be scared when I told you about him. He said mommies get scared easy. Thomas said that? He said I should wait to tell you. But I wanted him to have dinner with us. She set down the crayon. Is that okay? I made myself smile. Of course, baby. Let me get another plate. I called my mother that night, after Lily was asleep. It's probably nothing, Mom said. Kids that age, they pick up words from everywhere. School, TV, other kids. She doesn't watch cooking shows. She's 5. So she heard it somewhere else. Maybe at aftercare. Maybe one of the other kids has a parent who cooks. She said his hands are scratchy. Like a man who doesn't shave. Honey. Mom's voice shifted into the tone she used when she thought I was being dramatic. You're exhausted. You're doing everything alone. It's natural to worry, but this is just an imaginary friend. Don't turn it into something it's not. What if it's not imaginary? The silence on the other end lasted too long. What are you saying? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Have you checked the house? Checked it how? Locks. Windows. I don't know. Whatever you're supposed to check. I had checked. Every window, every door. All locked. No signs of forced entry. Nothing missing. Nothing moved. I'd walked through every room with my phone flashlight while Lily slept, feeling insane, feeling like the kind of paranoid single mother everyone warned me I'd become. Everything's locked. Then there's your answer. It's an imaginary friend. Kids have them. Yours is particularly vivid. That's all. I wanted to believe her. I tried to believe her. Then I found the candy wrapper. Saturday morning. Lily was watching cartoons in the living room. I was changing her sheets because she'd wet the bed, which she hadn't done in over a year. I found it under her pillow. A Werther's original wrapper. Folded into a small square, tucked beneath the pillow like a secret. Lily hated hard candy. She'd choked on a butterscotch when she was 3 and refused to eat any candy she couldn't chew. I never bought Werther's. I never bought hard candy of any kind. I sat on the edge of her bed, holding the wrapper. Lily? She appeared in the doorway. Yeah, Mommy. Where did this come from? She looked at the wrapper. Then at me. Then at the floor. Lily. Thomas gave it to me. Quiet. Almost a whisper. He brings me candy sometimes. He said it was our secret. What else is a secret? I'm not supposed to say. I knelt down. I level with her. Baby, you can tell me anything. You won't get in trouble. I promise. She chewed her lip the way she did when she was deciding whether to trust something. He said if I told you about him, he'd have to stop visiting. He said you wouldn't understand. Her eyes were wet. But I told you anyway. And now he's going to be mad. Lily, this is very important. Does Thomas touch you? He holds my hand sometimes. When he tells stories. Does he touch you anywhere else? No. She shook her head. He just talks and holds my hand, and sometimes he sits on my bed and watches me sleep. He says I look like an angel when I sleep. I called the police. They sent an officer. Young, maybe 25, with a wedding ring he kept twisting. He walked through the house and checked the windows and asked Lily questions while I stood in the doorway trying not to scream. Does Thomas have a last name? I don't know. Does he come in through a door? He's just there. When I wake up. Does he wear a uniform? Like a policeman or a mailman? No. Just regular clothes. The officer took notes. Checked the locks again. Walked the perimeter of the house while I watched from the front window. When he came back inside, his face told me everything. Ma'am, there's no sign of forced entry. No footprints, no disturbance. Your locks are intact. Your windows are sound. Then how is someone getting in? I'm not sure anyone is. He said it gently. The way you say things to people you think might be fragile. Kids this age, their imaginations. I found a candy wrapper. Under her pillow. Candy I didn't buy. Candy she doesn't eat. Kids pick things up. School, playdates. She's been at home with me or at aftercare. Every day. 4 months. He closed his notebook. I'll file a report. And I'd suggest maybe talking to someone. A counselor, someone who specializes in children. Sometimes they can tell the difference between a real experience and a very vivid imagination. You don't believe me. I believe you're scared. I believe you're doing your best. He handed me a card. If anything else happens, anything concrete, call this number. I looked at the card. A general information line. Not even a direct number. That night, I slept in Lily's room. Sat in the chair in the corner with a kitchen knife on my lap, watching the door, watching the window, watching my daughter's chest rise and fall under her blanket. Nothing happened. She slept through the night. No one came. No sounds, no shadows, no scratchy-handed men materializing from nowhere. Just the house settling and the wind outside and my own breathing, too loud in the dark. By 4 a.m., I felt like an idiot. By 5 a.m., I'd almost convinced myself Mom was right. By 6 a.m., when Lily woke up and found me there, I managed to smile and tell her I'd had a nightmare and wanted to be close to her. That's okay, Mommy. Thomas has nightmares too sometimes. I went rigid. He told you that? He told me lots of things. She yawned, stretched, pushed her hair out of her face. He said he had a little girl once, but she went away. He said I remind him of her. I didn't sleep in the chair again. I slept in her bed, curled around her, one hand on the knife under the pillow. A week passed. Then 2. Lily stopped mentioning Thomas. When I asked about him, she said he hadn't visited in a while. She seemed fine. Normal. No more bedwetting, no more candy wrappers, no more drawings of large men with scratchy hands. I started to relax. Started to believe what everyone was telling me. That I'd overreacted, that single mother paranoia had gotten the best of me, that Lily's imagination had conjured a friend and then moved on the way children do. I went back to work. Picked her up from aftercare at the regular time. Made pasta. Rotini, because she asked for it, and I didn't let myself think about why she still wanted the twirly kind. On the 3rd week, I found the photograph. Lily had been coloring at the kitchen table while I cleaned. I reached under the fridge to sweep out the dust bunnies and my broom hit something solid. I got down on my knees and reached under and pulled out a photograph. Polaroid. Old, with that yellowish tint they get. A little girl, maybe 5 or 6, standing in front of a house I didn't recognize. Brown hair. Blue dress. Smiling. On the white strip at the bottom, in handwritten ink, Emma, 1987. I turned it over. On the back, in different handwriting. Fresher, darker, she looks just like you did. I don't remember calling the police. I don't remember what I said. I remember sitting on the kitchen floor with the photograph in my hand, and then there were more officers, and someone was talking to Lily in the living room, and someone else was asking me questions I couldn't answer. Who is Emma? I don't know. Have you ever seen this photograph before? No. Is this your handwriting on the back? No. Ma'am, do you have any idea how this got into your house? No. 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 They searched the house. Really searched it, this time. The attic. The basement. The crawl spaces. Every closet, every cabinet, every gap between wall and furniture. They found nothing. No one hiding. No signs of habitation. No evidence anyone had been in my house except me and my daughter. But they also found no explanation for the photograph. No record of an Emma connected to me or my family. No match in any database. No fingerprints except mine, from when I'd picked it up. We'll increase patrols in the neighborhood, the sergeant said. And I'd recommend a security system. Cameras, motion sensors. If someone's getting in, we'll catch them. I had the system installed the next day. Cameras on every door, every window. Motion sensors in every room. An app on my phone that would alert me if anything moved. Nothing moved. For 2 months, nothing moved. The cameras showed empty rooms. The sensors stayed silent. Lily went to school, went to aftercare, came home, ate dinner, went to bed. She didn't mention Thomas. I didn't ask. I started seeing a therapist. She said I'd experienced a vigilance response to an ambiguous threat. She said my brain had pattern-matched innocent details into a narrative of danger. She said the photograph was concerning, but possibly explainable. A previous tenant, something that fell behind the fridge years ago, coincidence. I wanted to believe her. Then Lily turned 6. We had a party. Just us and Mom and a few kids from her class. Cake, presents, the whole thing. She was happy. I was happy. Normal family, normal birthday, normal life. That night, after everyone left and Lily was asleep in her bed and I was washing frosting off plates, my phone buzzed. Motion alert. Lily's room. I opened the app. Pulled up the camera. My daughter was sitting up in bed. Looking at the corner of the room where the chair used to be. I'd moved it out after those nights of sleeping there, because I couldn't stand to look at it. She was talking. I couldn't hear audio. The cameras were video only. But I could see her lips moving. Could see her nodding. Could see her hold out her hand toward the empty corner, palm up, like she was receiving something. I ran. Up the stairs, down the hall, I slammed open her door and hit the lights and she was lying down, eyes closed, blanket pulled up to her chin. Asleep. The corner was empty. Lily. I shook her. Lily, wake up. She blinked at me. Confused. Groggy. Mommy? Were you just awake? Were you just sitting up? No. She rubbed her eyes. I was sleeping. You were talking. On the camera, you were talking. I was dreaming. She yawned. I had a dream about Thomas. He said to tell you happy birthday. It's not my birthday. Not you. She closed her eyes again, already drifting. Her. Emma. Today's Emma's birthday. I pulled up the camera footage. Scrubbed back through the last 10 minutes. Lily, asleep. Lily, asleep. Lily, asleep. No motion. No sitting up. No talking to the corner. But the motion alert was in my notifications. Timestamped 9:47 p.m. The app had registered movement. Had sent the alert. I watched the footage 5 times. 10 times. Nothing. My daughter, in bed, not moving. But I'd seen her. Sitting up. Talking. Reaching toward something I couldn't see. I don't know how to end this. I don't know how to make you understand that I'm not crazy, that my daughter isn't lying, that something is in my house and I can't prove it and no one will help me. The cameras show nothing. The locks are intact. The police have filed a dozen reports and found nothing. My therapist says I'm processing anxiety through hypervigilance. My mother says I need more sleep. But last night, Lily asked me if Thomas could come to her birthday party next year. He missed this one, she said. He was sad about it. But he said he'll be there next time. He promised. Lily, Thomas isn't real. She looked at me. Patient. A little sad. He said you'd say that. She went back to her cereal. He said you're not ready yet. But you will be. He's going to wait until you're ready. Ready for what? To meet him. She took a bite, chewed, swallowed. He wants to meet you, Mommy. He's been waiting a long time. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep. Because I've been checking the cameras every 10 minutes and nothing is there and nothing is ever there, but my daughter talks to corners and knows words she shouldn't know and has a photograph of a dead girl under her pillow again because I found it there tonight when I checked. The same photograph. Emma, 1987. I burned it last time. I watched it curl and blacken in the kitchen sink. It's back. Same photograph. Same handwriting. Same little girl smiling in front of a house I've never seen. But there's new writing on the back now. Soon. I don't know who Thomas is. I don't know how he's getting in. I don't know what he wants. But he's real. He's here. He's been watching my daughter sleep. And he's waiting for something. If you're reading this and you have children, check on them tonight. Check the corners they talk to, the friends they describe, the words they know that you never taught them. Check under their pillows. And if you find something there that shouldn't exist, something you've destroyed, something that can't be explained by imagination or coincidence or a mother's paranoid mind, don't call the police. Don't call a therapist. Don't tell yourself it's nothing. Run. Because I can't run. I've tried. We stayed at my mother's house for a week, and Lily woke up every night talking to the corner of the guest room, and when we came home there was a new photograph on her pillow. This one was of me. Asleep in my bed. Taken from inside my bedroom. The date stamp said last night. He's not just watching Lily anymore. I don't know what happens next. I don't know what soon means or what he's been waiting for or why he chose us. But Lily says he's happy now. She says he smiles more. She says he told her that the waiting is almost over. She says he's going to introduce himself soon. She says I'll like him. She says everyone likes Thomas. Eventually. The end.